Welcome to the lesson on change orders. I'm currently at the Job Master Pro main menu and I'm going to click into the Job Center. Now before we talk about how to perform change orders, I want to talk about how they affect the job. So I'm going to bring up a current job that's in progress and show you how the budget has been affected by change orders. Now originally this job started out with a budget, but change orders have changed this budget as they have been accepted for the job. The total bid amount has also been changed to account for the change order amounts. So if we want to get a closer look at the history of a budget, we can click into the budget button on the toolbar and get a total look at the history of this job's budget. You see on the first line the original job budget that was set up. The second line has the change order, the total of the change orders that have affected that original job budget, and then you have your revised budget under that. So the revised budget is always the budget that you want to see in the budget calculator that the work in progress reports work off of. Now the other thing that you can see in looking in this budget window is that these type C records are the actual change orders that have affected the job. And the idea here is that every change order that you want to set up has to affect a certain page of the job or section of the job. So if you need to review how to set up page budgets, I encourage you to review that video first. But here you can see that we originally had this job set up with these page budgets as denoted by the P here, and as change orders were accepted, they were attached to that page of the job. So it not only affects that page budget, but also the overall job budget. Now if you don't want to break out a job into like pages or divisions or sections, phases, whatever you want to call them, you might like this idea better. I'm going to bring up a different job that we're going to work with today. This job, as we click into the budget window, was set up with an original budget. And again, because we need at least one page budget line to attach change orders to, what you can do in this window is just set up one generic page that we can attach our change orders to, instead of again having separate phase pages and phase budgets. So this is an idea that will work for a lot of people because it's might be too difficult to track the job by each phase of the job. But again, because you need that page budget here in this window, I encourage you to at least set one up just to catch all the change orders or attach all the change orders to as we go and do the change orders. But this way, the original budget is you have that history of the original budget, and your main budget on the main Job Center screen is always up to date then, so that your work in progress reports are up to date with its information. Now before we actually do a change order, I wanted to go into options on the Job Center menu bar and then go into job defaults, and I want you to look at something here before we do change orders. There is a checkbox that I want you to check here. Make sure there's a check mark in this checkbox that says use revised job budget on Job Center. Make sure each user who's going to be working with budgets also has that set up and saved, okay? Now I'm going to exit out of the options, and I'm going to click on the change order button to actually go into the change order screen. I'm going to set up well, actually before I do a new change order, let me click into the defaults button here, show you something here, because if you're just doing this for the first time, I do want to show you this, and that is this number right here, the first change order number. Now remember that with change orders, it's going to be very important to do everything by page. Again, so that we can track the change order, the cost of the change order, we can even bill it out separately by page. So this is where pages are going to be very important. If you wanted to review my help topic on pages, that might give you a good idea. But as you have probably already learned, I like to use page numbers starting in the 500s or 600s because they're way away from the normal change order phase page, or rather job phase pages that you might have already set up. So by setting this up with your first change order number, then when you set up new change orders, it will know where to begin numbering the change orders, the pages for each of your change orders. Okay, so having fumbled through that, let's begin. I'm going to click New to set up a new change order, and it will go out and look to see if you already have change orders set up for this job, and if you do, it will sequentially number from your first change order page. So I already have a change order page 501 set up, as you just saw on the budget screen, so I'm going to use the next page number that it gave me. And again, because in this job I only have the one page job page set up, I'm going to attach this change order to this job page. And again, you can if you're using phase budgets, attach the change order directly to the phase of the job that the change order is going to affect. Otherwise, this will work as well too. This is the date of the change order. This is how you're going to want to mark the change order up. So what's neat about this is that unlike the rest of the job being a contract job where you've already got predetermined markups, most customers like to T&M their change orders. So if you've done a T&M bid on it, or you just want to mark everything up using your T&M markups, you can select the proper price code here at this point, which is cool. Now you can give it an ending accept date. In other words, you expect this to be accepted in, by a certain date. Now the detail style really has more to do with, the detail of the change order altogether. And you have two different styles. You have the single line by line style, and you also have a paragraph style. So you can select that by change order. I'm just going to select the paragraph style. The single line style might be more conducive though to imports, like imports off of estimates and other sources that you can import onto the change order. Now this is important about the change order budget. The change order amount is the total marked up amount for the change order, and that's going to affect the total bid on your job center screen. So let's say this is going to be for $5,000, and as I hit enter, now I'm brought down to the material budget. The rest of these fields have to do with the cost, adding cost to your original job budget. So even though we're going to charge the customer $5,000 for this change order, it's actually going to cost us, say, $2,000 in material, $1,000 in labor. However you've determined that, that can be done through an estimate, or actually, if you had done an estimate for this, you could actually import that information from your estimate. So it is kind of cool, some of the imports that you do have in here under the options menu at the top right of the screen. But I'm manually entering mine, so that's alright. Now as I hit enter, I'm just hitting enter here. This is the number of days to accept the change order, and the person who's going to be accepting it, your terms, which just like proposals can actually be preset, so you don't have to type them all the time. Now in the change order notes, I always recommend putting something in here because then you know why the change order is happening, a quick view of it on screen without having to go into the detail. And now at this point, I'm done with the change order header. I'm going to save it. And then if I want to, I can go into the detail screen. If I'm actually going to send out a change order to be signed and accepted, you can go into the detail screen then and start typing what you want. And then this represents what you're going to be billing them for. So you don't even have to do the detail part if you don't want to, but it is there if you want to do that. So once the change order is created, it's actually a part of the job, but it hasn't affected the budget yet. So if we come out of this screen for the moment, you can see in the change orders tab that we do have a change order here, but it hasn't been approved yet. It's just pending. So I can even view it here if I wanted to preview it on screen or whatever. But I'm going to double click on it, which will take me right back into the change order screen and bring up that change order. So let's say it's 30 days from now and it was accepted or approved. What we can do is click this accept button, and if you take a moment to read this, basically what this is saying is that it's going to change the status of the change order to approved, and it will affect the job budgets. Are you sure you want to do that? Well, let's say yes and see what happened to the job. Excellent. Now it's an approved change order, and as we exit the change order screen, I'm actually going to refresh my job just by clicking into the job number field and hitting enter again. So now you can see that the budget was changed again with this new change order, and the budget was also increased with this new change order. And how do I know that? If I go into the budget window, I can see this new change order and how it's affected the original budget. Pretty cool. Get to know the change orders. That before I finish, I was just going to finish, but before I do, I wanted to talk about actually job costing change orders, because now in the job posting screen, if we want to track the change order items, which we will want to separately, we want to post them to their own page of the job. And Cobra's going to look now to the job header and then to the change orders to see how you wanted to mark up that change order. So as you post your material to the job, either directly here on these posting screens or from AP or purchase orders, it's going to know how to mark up these items according to the change order, which is really cool. So we'll get a couple of items posted here, and I'm going to go into the labor screen and do the same thing. Excellent. Now what I'm going to do is go over to the billing center and finish up in here, because something that's going to be very important on billing change orders is not only the invoice type. If it's going to be more of a detail or T&M, you want a D, otherwise you can select your F for a freeform invoice. But especially if it's going to be a detail or a T&M invoice, you want to relate it to the page of the job that you have posted. Okay, so that when we do the invoice, it will just limit this invoice to that change order and the items on that page that reflect that change order. Very good. So now I'm done with the change order lesson.